Hey guys, we're back. We are back. Alright. Kings, shall we? Second Kings, the final part 14. In the feed and the timeline here, just so you can take a look at it if you are visual people like I am. It definitely helps. Hearing the words, reading the words, definitely easier to just put it on a little spreadsheet for you to go ahead and look at. But we've come a long way. Looking at just the chart itself, we went through many years, many generations here of Judah and Israel, and now we are wrapping up Second Kings with both Judah and Israel in exile. Essentially, they've been deported, they've been displaced, that's the word I'm looking for. They've been displaced out of Jerusalem and out of Samaria by the Babylonians, okay? So let's go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll find out what the end line is here in just a second. But let's go ahead and tie in this quote. It says, "I'll love you, dear, I'll love you, till China and Africa meet, and the river jumps over the mountain, and the salmon singing in the street." And this is by W.H. Auden, from the poem As I Walked Out One Evening. Her lifespan was 1907 to 1973. And what a beautiful way to kind of tie this up, right? Love. Despite all the challenges that the Israelites have endured, despite all the wrongs that they have done, against the Lord and against their own people, and the violence that has occurred, I love you, and I will never stop loving you. The love is forever, and it's eternal, okay? It's something that won't ever stop until the impossible happens, until a very long time. These things are seen as impossible things, right? That China and Africa will never meet unless the entire middle section is gone, right? Or until the river that runs through the mountain ranges jumps over the mountain ranges. Some may say it's like that of a waterfall, but not quite, okay? And then the salmon singing in the street. Until the impossible happens, that's when I will stop loving you. But until then, essentially, I will never stop loving you, right? God will never release his love. His love will never stop, which is why his emotions, right, and his desire for us to do what is right in his eyes is so strong, and why he corrects us, okay? Also, just another reminder that death is not the end of it all, right? Death is not the end of your story. It never will be. It's really just the continuation and the next step onto a new life. Of course, we want to avoid the pitfalls of damnation and isolation and hell, if you will. So, of course, that needs to be avoided. But, really, the love will always remain for his people, his creation, right? That he initiated, that he put on this earth, that he, formed from, lifelessness. He formed you, and he formed his creation. So the love will always remain. So as we read and as we finish this off, we'll just go ahead and remember that his mercy is very strong. Eliakim and Rahman, right? He's very strong. Alright, let's continue here. We're going to start out with chapter 23, line 31. We have Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. Pharaoh Necho put him in chains at Riblah and in the land of Hamath, so that he might not reign in Jerusalem. And he imposed on Judah a heavy levy of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. So we have this opposer here, Pharaoh Necho, right? We did briefly discuss him. He is now imprisoning the Israelites with a very heavy taxation, and he actually physically imprisoned their king, right? The one who is the heir, who is supposed to reign. He's limiting their reign significantly. It says here, Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, son of Josiah, king in place of his father. Josiah Father Josiah, and changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. Okay, so again, showing the kind of power that Pharaoh Necho had to go ahead and just change somebody's name completely. The king of Babylonia also does this. He changes the name. It's a way to dehumanize somebody. It's a way to exert power over somebody, like that of, God will, or your parents, they choose your name. So it's a way to kind of dehumanize them, to take away their identity, and to make them less, essentially. So he changes his name to Jehoiakim, but he took Jehoahaz and carried him off to Egypt, and there he died. Okay, he's also removing and replacing kings. It says here, Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. Nonetheless, he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. So they have all this terror coming upon them. They have people coming to usurp their position, and nonetheless, they're not changing. Okay, they're still doing the practices that they may or may not know that they're not supposed to be doing. So the Lord had sent Babylonian, Aramean, Moabite, and Ammonite raiders against him to destroy Judah, in accordance with the word of the Lord proclaimed by his servants the prophets. Jehoiakim then rested with his ancestors, and Jehoiachin, his son, succeeded him as king. And I don't know if it's Jehoiakim or Jehoiachin. I'm going to say Jehoiachin just because it sounds so much like Jehoiakim. Okay, so we're going to do that way. It says here, after Jehoiakim, the king of Egypt, Necho, did not march out from his own country again, because the king of Babylon had taken all his territory from the Wadi of Egypt to the Euphrates River. So now it was the king of Egypt, now it's the king of Babylonia that is really taking over everything again. And this is Nebuchadnezzar, alright? And if you ask me how I'm able to pronounce that, it's just something that's so familiar from school. Nebuchadnezzar. Why did we hear about Nebuchadnezzar so much? He has such a small section and a small portion at the end of this book. Maybe he appears again later on, I don't know. But I don't know why. We just knew how to pronounce Nebuchadnezzar because it's such a stickler, that long, nasty word. Okay, he was the king of Babylon. He took Jehoiachin captive to Babylon. Jehoiachin, captive to Babylon. He made Mattaniah, Jehoiachin's uncle, king in his place, and he changed his name to Zedekiah. And so he took Jehoiachin, remember him, he took him captive. He didn't kill him, okay, he's just held captive. He's locked away in a jail somewhere. And he takes his uncle, places him in his throne, essentially, and also changes his name just to be that, powerful, all-powerful individual. So nice, so kind. It says here, they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. They put out his eyes, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon. So, to promote him to the level of king over Judah, they are humiliating him, they are torturing him, they are destroying his children, right? They are putting him in slavery, basically, just to embarrass and humiliate. So really a terrible thing. Zedekiah was not faithful to the Lord either, but you don't want to see this kind of violence be enacted on anybody. It does not matter what kind of person they are, right? The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillars, the movable stands, and the bronze sea that were at the temple of the Lord, and they carried the bronze away to Babylon. So they actually went through the Babylonians, destroyed the temple completely, right? But they took the valuable parts. It says here, each pillar was 18 cubits high. The bronze capital on top of one pillar was 3 cubits high, and was decorated with a network of pomegranates of bronze all around. The other pillar with its network was similar. Okay, so again, just the mass, right? The mass of wealth that these temples contained, the mass of riches that were just seemingly ground into dust, right, with the destruction. And it is kind of a representation. I know you hear him just being, he doesn't like when I'm talking and doing stuff without him. Hello. I know you're here. The washing machine is on. That's why I'm not out there. What do you need? Dare I sit out here? Oh. See, I tell you, I abide by my husband's laws. He's not allowed in the room. Because he likes to mess around. Come on. Let's see if I can wrangle him out while we finish this up. Come on, we're going to go out together. Come on. Air Force, come on. I love them, I do. I do. Give me a second here. Excuse me, sir. Just so you can see how big he's grown. Look at how big he is. Yes, I'll be right out. We're almost done. You behave yourself a little longer. Thank you, baby. Alright. Alrighty. This too, the bronze pillars, it reminds me, we talked about, the theatrical events and the cinematic events. But this is more of like a literary tool to talk about these bronze pillars and how tall they were, right? 18 cubits is very, very tall or long. And it talked about the ornateness of their detail, right? They were very ornate, very large, worth a lot, okay, even if it was just bronze. But it kind of reminds me of like a similarity of the land of Judah, right? How it stretched very, very far. The lineage of Judah was very, very long. They kept the royalty within the families. I'm just going to have to go up because I can't. I'm not a mean person. Come on. Let's go. This washing machine stops for now. Anyways, the pillars are like that of Judah, right? The lineage stretched very, very tall and very long, just like Judah had stretched, a very long way. But again, it's not gold, it's not silver. The royalty of Judah, it was not super, super precious. It was just bronze. And although it was ornate, and although it was detailed, and although there were good things of this beautiful bronze pillar, it was not perfect, okay? It was not God's will, if you will, right? Yes, the kings ruled, and yes, God had allowed it to happen, but that was not his preference. He did not want this long line of kings in his chosen people in Israel, because it would just, it did exactly what it did. It caused violence, destruction. People turned away. People didn't know how to act, even with the king. It made it worse. So again, it's just kind of a similarity. I forgot the word for that. Anyways, so Judah went into captivity away from her land. So it's unfortunate, and God had turned away himself. They were being deported out. It says here, in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, remember he was arrested by Necho, or was it the Babylonian? Succeeded him. Oh no, it was Nebuchadnezzar who took Jehoiakim captive. In the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the year of Marduk, in the year Marduk became the king of Babylon, he released Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from prison. He did this on the 27th day of the 12th month. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of other kings who were with him in Babylon. Okay, so it's a little bit of a turning of tides. Of course, this was after some time. This is after the death of Nebuchadnezzar, but we have this new king of Babylonia, Marduk. He showed kindness to Jehoiakim, who is held in captivity for so long, and he, even though he was a prisoner for so long, his honor was restored to them. And it says again, another representation of Judah, right? Even though he was a prisoner and he was taken out of captivity, he was given a seat of honor higher than that of the other kings. So again, everybody around Israel as well also had kingdoms, right? Of course, God wanted to set Israel apart. That's why he did not want them to go along with what everybody else was doing. Nonetheless, the fact that they did have a strong line and a sturdy rule, there's honor there. There is honor. It's not all bad at all. Of course, this outcome is not pleasant. It's not, really what you want to read about or what you want to hear. Very Game of Thrones-esque, very, Lord of the Rings, what have you, just a lot of destruction. But anyways, there's some good in it. And there's an act of mercy here by this king of Babylonia. He restored Jehoiakim to his seat of honor. So after the storm, there's some kindness and there's some mercy, also reflecting of God's love too. Even though, Jehoiakim was not perfect. He was not loyal to God, right? He was doing evil in the eyes of the Lord. Even him can go ahead and receive mercy and peace and things like that. So it's important, right? The kindness that we receive from each other should be placed on a very high pedestal and should be, valued as a gift, right? So yeah, I know that was kind of a storm. Big cat here liking to interrupt, but it's okay. We've made it through, you guys. That is the final part, 2 Kings. And I know I've been giving you a little bit of a glimpse into Chronicles. It's going to be a lot in these first few sections of me just reading names. And when I come on here to read you the names of the lines from Adam all the way up through the kings, more like, Saul and stuff like that, Saul and Solomon and David, I'm going to keep it very short, and I may just work on a little sheet for you guys as well so you can see it in full. But when I come on here and read, I'm not going to read all of the names that are listed. I'm going to truncate them as I've done. So again, thank you for listening. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and